We interrupt this broadcast for a brief nocturnal intermission with your hosts, Kyle and Niko.
Anyway, you wanted to talk about the Space Jam remake?
It's not a remake. I think it's a sequel.
Like a full-on sequel?
I wouldn't say full on. I don't think Michael Jordan's been tapped to come back as himself. But
you don't think he'll have a cameo?
I don't know, because Michael Jordan, I feel, is one of those people that's so rich that they can just do whatever they want. Like, he made that, documentary, but it was all financed by him, so he had final edit and everything. So it was really just like, hey, look how great I am.
Wait, he financed his own documentary?
I believe so. I believe it was all under him.
That's wild.
Yeah, but back to Space Jam. What do you think the plot, like, when you heard Space Jam 2 was happening and LeBron James was going to be the lead, what did you picture as the plot? Did you think it was going to be just like a kind of a remake, but replace with Michael Jordan with LeBron James? Did you think they'd go with a whole new story?
I definitely thought it was going to be not a remake in the sense where everything's the same, but almost like a spiritual successor. But I also think it's weird because Space Jam is such a one-off kind of thing. I don't understand why you would need to make a second one under the same name. I guess it just seems not weird, but everything was sewn up in the first one. So
right.
It just seems like another case of recycling old IP for a new, younger audience. And I don't really feel like that works, or has worked really yet. I can't think of anything that has been recycled that was just as good.
Well, I would say it's kind of a continuation of what's happening with 90s TV shows. The people who grew up on these 90s medias are now parents who maybe want to share these properties with their kids, and these studios are finding a way to kind of make money off that. Like how they're rebooting Full House, Boy Meets World, Roseanne. They're just capitalizing off nostalgia that these kind of this generation that grew up in the 90s now, they are now the kind of the people who have the money.
I just feel like it's such a lazy way to do things. Like they don't no one's trying anymore to like make new stuff.
Lazy makes money.
Isn't that sad though? Like
yeah,
a little disappointing.
I think this pandemic will kind of change that, hopefully. Like I think we'll stop seeing, the $1 billion movie, where these movies have, they pour so much money into them that they have to make $1 billion back to be a success, quote unquote. But Space Jam 2, it felt like that was always talked about, but I felt like it's at some point it was too late. Because it's coming out. When it comes out, it will have been 25 years since Space Jam 1 came out. And so I feel like there is a statute of limitations to making a sequel that is based on playing basketball with the Looney Tunes. The Looney Tunes are barely relevant.
Barely. I would say the Looney Tunes aren't relevant.
Well, the thing is, HBO Max they are kind of reviving the Looney Tunes. They have new Looney Tune cartoons. I've watched a few of them. They're not great, but they're Looney Tunes. They're meant for kids. So this movie will probably be a success, but it probably won't be good.
But does reviving really make them relevant? Just because you revived it, I would be curious to know what like the view numbers are on something like that. on HBO Max. I mean, I'm sure
they'll never release those numbers. That's I feel like that's the trade-off between releasing your movie on a streaming service like HBO Max and releasing it in theaters, because theaters will release ticket sale numbers, but HBO Max doesn't release, you know, viewer counts for its shows and movies. So, you know, the studio doesn't have to worry about the perception of like how many people have seen this movie, or how many people need to go to the movie theater to make back our money. Like, they can just negotiate a flat fee with the streaming service and just make their money immediately and not have to worry, and probably make more than they could when the movie theaters were taking half. So I think that's why I think the state of media is gonna, or at least movies, is gonna change. Like, I think movie theaters are gonna come back, but they're gonna come back as almost like a niche.
like you think there will be more upscale movie theaters, like the ones
more full service movie theaters with food and like a bar, and also probably a lot more, because I think, or I know WB announced that they're going to release all of their 2021 movies on HBO Max along with theaters. So, you know, a lot of these movies don't really benefit from seeing it in a movie theater. Big action movies, sure. Christopher Nolan movies, sure. But a lot of horror movies lose their oomph when you're in a big room with a bunch of people and some people are talking.
Yeah, are we still gonna get Avatar 2 sometime?
As far as I know, James Cameron is still on. Like, I think principal photography is either finished and they've started editing, but you know, those movies, probably about 95% of it is the editing and the computer graphics. So I think it's still like going to be 2022 before we see the next Avatar, which by then the old one will have been 13 years old. That's what that I don't get. I don't get these. Like, it seems like it's now fine to make a sequel that's over 10 years late. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, do you remember that movie? What was that movie? The one where he gets like the weird alien virus. It's like it's the aliens are in like these immigrant camps. And
District 9.
District 9. Wasn't there supposed to be a sequel to that movie? Didn't that movie... Because that was the whole point. Like, it was open-ended so that there was a sequel and then there was just never a sequel.
I would say it was both open-ended, but it could also be viewed as kind of closed, because as far as we know, he, you know, just spent the rest of his life as one of those aliens. But I believe that same director went on to make that movie about that robot with Dee Antwoord.
Oh, what was it? It was a Choppy?
Choppy, yeah, he made Choppy. So if there was plans to make a District 10, I don't think it's happening. But who knows? Maybe in a couple years we'll find out that was always the plan. But back to Space Jam. Sorry, was that a hard cut?
No.
Like, I just felt we went off on a tangent there about movie theaters and productions.
I mean, we go off on a lot of tangents, yeah.
Okay, well, back to the plot of Space Jam. So that was my initial question. So you think it was going to be kind of almost like a soft remake where it would be similar events with LeBron James, maybe like some different twists and stuff, but overall kind of the same hero's journey?
Yeah, for the most part. I guess I didn't really think too hard on it. I'll say that. I didn't think too much about it because I just assumed it was going to be trash, so I didn't think too much about the plot itself.
Well, let me tell you, I thought a lot about the plot when I heard there was even plans for a Space Jam 2. So, in my version, I pictured it as a hard sequel to the first one. So at the beginning of this movie, it would also be the same amount of years. So like, let's say 25 years later. So in this movie, Michael Jordan has mastered the powers of Toontown, or whatever their little world was.
Yeah.
So, like how he stretched his arm at the very end. Mm-hmm. So he has now mastered those powers, and he has used that to take over the Looney Tunes. And he has now set up a Michael Jordan fantasy basketball camp in Toonville that is run by the Looney Tunes, who are in indentured slavery. And so in the beginning of the movie, little boy named LeBron James comes to the fantasy camp with his dad. And his dad's like, I gotta tell you, son, I love the Looney Tunes. I love Michael Jordan. It's been a dream of mine to come here. But I couldn't make it as a kid, but I'm glad I could bring you. So he drops off little LeBron. Little LeBron goes in, and he, like, the Looney Tunes don't act, like they're prisoners. They're not like depressed, but they are stuck in cartoonish loops, basically. And little LeBron realizes that they are kind of stuck doing what they're doing, and they don't want to be here. And so little LeBron starts throwing a fit, and his dad has eventually his dad has to come pick him up. Either he throws a fit and he gets kicked out, or he gets through camp, but he's really depressed at the end. And his dad's like, "What's wrong?" And little LeBron explains what's happening. So his dad like loses faith, basically. Like, his dad's like, that's horrible. What did Michael Jordan, like, I hate Michael Jordan. So basically LeBron's dad raises him to hate Michael Jordan, and he loses faith with the Looney Tunes. So then that's when we see a montage of little LeBron going, through high school, college. This is where you would use, real clips from LeBron's actual NBA career. So then he grows up, and it's him holding a basketball in front of his dad's grave. His dad is dead. And he says, "Pop, I know I'm the best professional NBA player there is. I know I've attained fame and glory insurmountable, but I never saved the Looney Tunes for you, Pop. But I'm gonna make good on my promise." Because he promised him as a kid, like, I'll save the Looney Tunes one day, Dad. So he goes back to the fantasy camp
to start a revolution,
which is now what, like, let's say he was 10 when he went to the fantasy camp. That was 25 years now. So let's say that was like, the camp was like 10 years old at that point, right?
All right.
I mean, we can do the math later. It really doesn't matter. So then it cuts to, so now we're in current day. So LeBron goes back to the fantasy camp, and he challenges Michael Jordan to a match. Now, here's the thing. Michael Jordan in this movie is digitally de-aged to be what he looked like at the time of Space Jam, because he's mastered Toontown so much that he can just keep his appearance what he wants it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So LeBron goes down, and he says, "I challenge you to a basketball game for the Looney Tunes freedom. This is messed up." So Michael Jordan agrees, and he says, I'll let you have the Looney Tunes. And LeBron says, "Well, then who's going to be on your team?" And then Michael Jordan says, "Me." And then another Michael Jordan steps into frame and says, "And me." And a third Michael Jordan comes in and says, "And me." And then two more Michael Jordans, until there's 5 Michael Jordans. So the game starts, and it's just a complete wipe. Like, the 5 Michael Jordans just immediately destroy LeBron and the Looney Tunes, because he's like a god in this world. So then I'm assuming there's some sort of reprieve from that, or not reprieve, like some sort of LeBron gets punished somehow. What I'm thinking is that Michael Jordan still has the basketball that the Monstars use to steal basketball powers from real people. He makes LeBron touch that, and LeBron loses his basketball skills. He then sends him back to the real world and says, anytime you want to challenge me, bud, come back. So then LeBron has to go and relearn basketball. And this is where you have like the cameos from current basketball people, which there's going to be NBA players and WNBA players in the actual Space Jam 2.
Okay.
So this is where you would bring them in. He would round them up and be like, say, just explain the situation and ask them for a favor. He breaks in. This is where you have like a cool Mission Impossible segment, because he breaks into Toonland, and he steals the magic basketball away. No, that doesn't make sense. Either they teach him basketball again, which I feel like is not like that. That just completely diminishes what just happened, or he brings them to Toontown and he has them touch the magic basketball, and then they give their powers, or somehow they give their basketball powers to the Looney Tunes and LeBron. So then it's LeBron and the Looney Tunes with basketball powers against 5 Michael Jordans again. But the Looney Tunes now have the confidence to use their powers, and it becomes, like the coyote blows up Michael Jordan, like one of the Michael Jordans with dynamite, but it's in a cartoony way. And eventually they win. And so they make all the Michael Jordans touch the basketball, and then they all fuse back into an unde-aged Michael Jordan, like whatever Michael Jordan looks like now, which I think is Play-Doh. And he's old Michael Jordan again. And since it's a kids movie, we'll just say that Michael Jordan sees the error of his ways, and they open up LeBron James Sr. fantasy basketball camp with the Looney Tunes.
Bugs Bunny kicks him in the shins.
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
And then he kicks him in the shins.
Is that what you want it to be?
Yeah, I think that's the end of the movie.
But does he? And then he's like, now we're even. I can't do a good Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, that's what he would say.
And then the what would the credit song be?
I don't know. I don't have a good credit song.
I'm thinking it's Lil Nas X and I don't know, who's your favorite Looney Tune?
Porky the Pig.
That's too hard.
Why?
Like I can't do an impression, but sure, it's Lil Nas X and Porky Pig with "That's All, Folks," but like "That's all" is one word. That's all.
And then it does the little thing where it goes into a circle. Like fades out into a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my initial thought. But now that I know that the actual title of Space Jam 2 is Space Jam: A New Legacy, all I can think is that most of what I just said happens, but instead of taking his basketball powers away, Michael Jordan blows up LeBron James's legs.
He blows them up.
And he has to make new robot legs, and it's a new legacy. Do you want to know what the real plot is?
Do you know the real plot? It's
on Wikipedia.
All right.
So I guess take it with a grain of salt.
All right.
But the premise that is on Wikipedia says, with the help of Bugs Bunny and the other Looney Tunes characters, NBA superstar LeBron James must rescue his missing son, Bronny, by navigating through a never-before-imagined world filled with iconic Warner Brother movie scenes and characters as they have to unravel the villainous Al G's mysterious plan and win an epic basketball game against his team of digital gamified super versions of the NBA and WNBA's biggest stars, which will be seen by the entire world.
I mean, I like yours better.
And can you guess? Take a guess at who plays the big bad villain in Space Jam 2.
Danny DeVito.
It's Don Cheadle. You know that villain Don Cheadle?
What a villain! Absolute villain. I can't even picture him as a villain. And we're back reading awful writing prompts, actually.
So yes, this is the writing prompts subreddit. These are some of the, let's say, lower rated writing prompts that didn't get the attention they deserved. The first one we have here is, it has been written into the universe that you realize you're in a game, dictated through the appearance of a UI in your periphery. But so many have decreed this that several million UIs have made themselves known. You have been rendered blind. So where would you take the story from there, Niko?
What? Who are you? I don't understand. Is the UI, are you like a group of people, or is the UI the thing in your vision? And
Yeah.
like, do you find out and then they make you blind?
Oh, that I see where you're. Yeah, I see where that's coming from. Yeah, so I guess it's saying that if there's a crazy blind guy who's saying there was a UI and they found out I knew and they made me blind, why won't you believe me? Like
Yeah.
that seems to be about as far as you could go with that concept.
Yeah, because I don't understand, because it sounds like there's people who come forward who are UIs. Are you a UI? Is that, you have a UI, but is that what the person is called? You know, like Muggles in Harry Potter?
Yeah,
the UIs.
yeah, several million UIs have made themselves known.
What has made themselves known? What?
Well, I also like how the first line is, it has been written into the universe that you realize you're in a game, dictated through the appearance of the UI in your periphery. Why is it written into the universe that I know that I'm in a game? Why can't it be like they should have worded it, you're born and you know you're in a game.
Yeah, is this some kind of Wreck-It Ralph shit? Like,
I don't.
Is that what it's trying to say? You've been rendered blind, like your programming doesn't work anymore because you have a UI in your periphery. Oh, does it mean like you can see the gamer's UI? Is that it sounds like a Wreck-It Ralph knockoff.
I mean, it's a bad writing prompt, and this person should feel bad.
They should feel bad.
It was posted 11 days ago, and nobody's written a response.
I understand why it's controversial now.
So let's see what else we got here. I mean, this is unfortunate that this one didn't get anybody to write a story about it. Carl Sagan, Severus Snape, and Shrek journey through the Amazon rainforest in search of a cure for diabetes. Along the way, they encounter a horde of evil Teletubbies.
Why Carl Sagan? I understand Shrek and I understand Snape, but I don't understand Carl Sagan.
I don't either. That would be a horrible choice. I feel like he'd die of dysentery very quickly.
Well, what does he bring to the table? Like, Snape's a wizard, Shrek is just a monster.
At night, they can look up and he can be like, "Hey, look at all the constellations."
So he can navigate them.
We are all made of star stuff. We are all on a little blue dot.
Does he? That sounded like Goofy. Does he have diabetes? Does he know about
he's
diabetes?
dead. I mean, he's dead.
Yeah, I guess I understand
I feel
that.
like he would just be like Shrek would pick him up by the ankles and then swing him around and hit people with him. He's Shrek's club.
How do you think Teletubbies would fight? Like, how would they?
They would overwhelm you. They would overwhelm you and superheat your body until you burn to death internally. They would all, 1,000 of them would cover you, and then they'd vibrate really quickly, and the heat from it would cook your organs, and then you would just leave behind a darkened husk of what you once were. That's how I think Teletubbies would kill you.
That took no time for you to come up with. That was completely out of nowhere. I did not expect a full-on report of Teletubby tactics. It sounds like they're like the nematodes in SpongeBob. Is it the nematodes? Those are the ones that like eat buildings and shit.
The nematodes, yeah, I think so. What other bad writing prompts do we have here? A lot of dead air. The Joker is dead, but now as Gotham celebrates his end and someone else takes up his mantle of Clown Prince of Crime, he had a brother.
Is that just how it's?
It's how it's phrased.
He had a brother.
It's the sentence is, but now as Gotham celebrates his end, there's no comma here where there should be. Celebrates his end, someone else takes up his mantle of Clown Prince of Crime, comma, he had a brother.
He had a brother. What? So you're asking me to write about his brother that we know nothing about.
This brings up a common criticism I have of writing prompts is that a lot of these are a little bit too specific.
Yeah.
Like you should have just ended it at someone else or someone unlikely is taking up his mantle, and then that at least gives you a range of characters. When you say he has a brother, well then his brother apparently is just like him. So what's there to write about unless you're just writing Joker fiction?
Yeah, it's more like a fan fiction prompt. It's not even like it's not a good writing prompt. I feel like a good writing prompt is really short. It's like Oreo factory worker gains magic powers. Like, and then okay.
Well, that like established universe prompts are fine, but again, like you can't like I feel like it's just like you're limiting people to write what you want them to write. When, like you said, it should just be open to whatever.
Yeah.
10% of teenagers randomly and unpredictably experience a 2-week coma and afterward discover they've gained near superhuman abilities at what they happen to have been doing when they blacked out. You've just come out of a 2-week coma and realized you're one of the 10%.
I feel like, could you imagine being the unlucky one that was jerking off and you're
unlucky?
And yeah, but what is your superpower? Do you just
super virile?
You think so? Like your dick's always hard, or like
no? You like if you jerk off, like your sperm inseminates women in like a 10-yard radius.
That's not a superpower. That sounds like a lot of child support.
A mild. Well, I mean, it's a superpower if you want to cause chaos in like an enemy country. You just go to like the Cuban, consulate, and you just jerk off, and then suddenly Cuba's got this influx of population, and then their economy collapses because they can't. They have a crisis basically where they have too many kids. By the way, I have nothing against Cuba. That's just an example I'm using. I don't think Cuba should be drowned in population.
No, he definitely hates Cuba. He says it all the time.
Please don't say that. I don't need people coming after me for something I didn't mean.
You guys hear that? Kyle hates Cuba.
Shut up. What else we got here? You are the first Muggle-born to be sorted into Slytherin.
Oh.
Sounds like you'd be bullied a lot.
Well, yeah, but like, did you want to go to Slytherin? 'Cause like, the hat takes into account how you feel, right? So, and I don't feel like a Muggle-born. I think the hat knows that Muggle-borns don't go into Slytherin. Although maybe, who knows? Maybe there's some canon where there's other Muggle-borns in Slytherin, but it just seems like why are you? You would have to want to be in Slytherin. I don't think that sorting hat would just put you there. And yeah, you would just get bullied a lot. What is the story there? And then like it turns out Malfoy's daughter is your best friend, and then you have like an adorable lesbian relationship, and she saves you from the bad Slytherin people. It just sounds like what is it? Not Yowie. The other one.
Yuri.
Sounds like Yuri.
I mean, how about this one? Harry Potter randomly turns into a knife and Voldemort can't stop me, tries to throw it at you.
Wait.
So you are now a character in the story that you are writing.
Why is Voldemort throwing a Harry knife at me? Wouldn't he want Harry?
You have to come up with that. That's the prompt.
Oh, okay. I feel like that would be even. Do you remember that game in Gary's mod where you turned into an object so you could hide?
Hide and seek, yeah.
That's how I imagine Harry hiding from Voldemort. He just like turns into a knife for a couple years.
He turns into his wand.
Yeah. Could you imagine how different Harry Potter would have been if Voldemort had ever just learned to use a 50 cal? How would that work? He's like 2 miles away, and then there's just baby Harry in a crib, and then just one trigger pull, and then credits.
Exactly.
The end.
Here's the thing about Harry Potter is a jock who was the best player of the sport he played ever, and he married his high school sweetheart, and he became a cop, and he could do no wrong. And that kind of like I get that he, for the first 10 years of his life, they were pretty rough living with the Dursleys. But like once that kid, he was also a trust fund baby because he had all that money from his parents. So like I felt like there was not enough suffering.
I mean, yeah, real talk. Harry Potter is clearly the villain. Neville is the one true Harry Potter. Neville had it way harder. Literally, both his parents were made to go crazy. At least Harry's parents just died. You know, at least they were murdered. His parents were in the hospital, just crazy.
Right. I feel like that. I just realized that the fact that Harry was given a bunch of wizard money is I feel like the one detail, if that had not been, would have made the story really good. If he had like been just as poor as Ron, say.
Yeah, I almost think him having a lot of money just kind of helped J.K. Rowling write out any kind of questions that you would have about how does he finance these things.
Right.
You wouldn't have to come up with, oh yeah, he's just super rich, so that's why he can do whatever he wants. Which I mean it's kind of a little too close to home in the real world.
Well, isn't it funny that in the 6th book, when Harry and Ron end up taking the advanced potions class that they didn't realize they were going to be taking, that there's just suddenly copies of books at the school that they can just borrow, and they don't have to pay prices at Ollivanders.
Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't that funny that they can do that for one class, but they can't just have that be like a school-wide thing?
Well, isn't it funny how they can have like what are they, enslaved elves in the basement? Oh, sorry, they're not enslaved. You know, they like being there or whatever to cook. They can magically make food and put it on a table, but they can't magically make books. I'm assuming because wizard authors need money too. Like I don't understand that.
But like cauldrons, like the kids need to buy cauldrons.
Yeah.
And like wand, that's like a one-time purchase. Pet, that's a fluff purchase. Like that's something you get if you're lucky enough. But it's like you can with what they let you have as a pet, I feel like you could find your pet out in the wild.
Cauldrons are a weird thing to buy too, because I guess I don't understand the intricacies of a cauldron, but you can only have so many cauldrons in a room. So wouldn't they provide cauldrons? Wouldn't that make it easier?
Yeah.
I understand scales. You know, scales in a way are kind of like a calculator. You know, you have to get a calculator and carry it around with you or whatever, so they have their own scales. But a cauldron...
But even so, like, I feel that the school could just magic up new scales every year for the students, and then at the end, you know, de-magic them.
Honestly, Kyle, what I'm really hearing is J.K. Rowling is pro-capitalism, and Hogwarts runs on a capitalistic ideal. And
they for sure have inns with certain shopkeeps in Diagon Alley. Like, does it surprise you that there's no other bookstore? Apparently, you have to go to what was it, Flourish and Blots?
Yeah, I mean the wizarding stores are pretty small. Like as far as like how many there are, there's not a lot to choose from. It's kind of a monopoly if you really think about it. Each store kind of has a little monopoly on the wizard game.
Just another reason to hate J.K. Rowling.
And hike up the prices.
Remember when she said that wizards poop and then they magic away the poop so they don't need plumbing?
I mean, can you really blame her though? Could you imagine if you wrote a book or book series like Harry Potter and people asked you questions all the time? Wouldn't you just make up just like the weirdest fucking answers? Like you've already made your money. You're already living in a mansion.
Yeah.
With a.
Oh, I don't think she has any fear of that. I just think she it's just like you said, it's funny.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like that's exactly what you or I would do. Is if you wrote something like that, you're like, oh yeah, wizards they magic their poop away.
Oh,
that's
for
like
sure.
That's like the first thing they teach you at wizard school is how to magic your poop away.
Magic my poop away.
You got any more good writing prompts?
Let's see. We got. You work as a 911 operator, providing for your family. During your working hours, you pick up a call and it's your wife.
Oh, okay.
That's the problem. I mean, that's at least that's open.
Does she need me to bring something home?
That's up to you. She could either need you to bring something home, and she's using the worst avenue she could think of. Like, put it this way, she calls you up and you're like, hello, this is 911, how can I help you? And she's like, is this Phil?
All right.
And you're like, yeah? All
right, Kyle, I got it. I got a real answer for you.
All right, let's hear Niko's answer.
So your wife calls you, you're a 911 operator, and it turns out she's been cheating on you for 2 years. You haven't even known. You work late nights, she gets lonely. But it turns out her lover, who she's replaced you with, is now trying to kill her. They've had an argument and she needs to call 911. Unfortunately, you are one of the few 911 operators working tonight and you get the call. So now your real struggle, Kyle, is do you pass this along or do you just hang up?
Does she recognize you after a while?
Oh, she does. She knows it's immediately you, and she's so full of shame but also fear because a man is now in their house chasing her with a knife.
Before we go any further, I have to say this idea sounds, because then I feel like the rest of the episode is you like taunting her on the phone, and then like you hear in the background you can hear the guy, whoever's broken into the house, or like whoever she's running from. Like you never see the chase from her perspective. It's pretty much all through the guy, the 911 operator, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that would make a good episode of like a Twilight Zone-esque show.
Either that or something like the Telltale Heart, where it's where the first beginning is like a little bit of that, and then you just hang up, like you don't pass it along, and she gets murdered, and then for the rest of the episode or whatever it is, you have to live with that guilt, and it slowly starts eating away at you.
And you hallucinate calls from her, like she's clearly dead, but you like suddenly get calls from her and she's like, you killed me.
Yeah, not you killed me, or just like her screams, like her vivid screams of being murdered, or you see her bloody face in the mirror and it just like slowly drives you insane.
And at the end you go crazy, and the other people in the 911 thing have to like have you taken away, and then at the very end it's like, he didn't receive any calls tonight.
Oh, that's wild. He didn't even receive calls that night.
He had just started a shift not 5 minutes before.
Oh my god, that's wild. So I guess just to clarify that, back that up, what you're saying is, like, he goes crazy and somehow he says, oh, I got this call, or like whatever, he confesses or whatever, and they're like, you weren't supposed to start till tomorrow, or like whatever, like you weren't,
something like that.
He wasn't there, basically. That was a real answer.
Cool. Let's see. You are a socially awkward middle-aged man and a leader of the Assassin's Guild that tries its hardest to maintain the edgelord facade. I don't get these. The last thing you consciously experience when you die is your next life's character creator menu. Okay, well then I create a new character and live a life.
Yeah, that doesn't... That sounds just like how you would write a book.
Too open. Every 100 years or so, jolly old St. Nicholas has to add another reindeer to the sleigh team to help offset the added weight of all the toys. Last century, Rudolph joined the ranks. Now it's time for Santa to add the newest member. Let the competition begin. Ho, ho, ho.
It just sounds like a reindeer competition.
Yeah, it just sounds like name a reindeer and then give him some deformity.
Okay, well, hear me out, Kyle. So, what if you bounced off that? He does have to add reindeer, but you know how he adds reindeer, Kyle?
How?
He goes to orphanages and he kidnaps children and turns them into reindeer in his sick animal human hybrid experiments, and that's how he delivers all the toys with dark magic.
Oh, I see. I was thinking more along the lines of he realizes that adding more reindeer is too costly, and it's better to just he would save money if he just R&D'd robo reindeer, and so he replaces his entire cadre of reindeer with these robots, and the reindeer aren't having it. So they challenge Santa Claus's robot reindeer to a dodgeball competition. And so then the trailer is the regular reindeer wearing like sunglasses and like they have like cool hair and stuff, and it's like line them up. And it's the robot reindeer like are just like they're like bouncing balls in their robo hooves.
Yeah.
And then they like throw it at the screen, and it's like, this December, get ready for some reindeer games. Oh wait, that's already a movie? Oh, okay. We'll call it. We'll come up with a title later. Coming this December. What do you think a good title would be?
Christmas. No, I guess that's a tagline. Like Christmas just got cool.
Dodgeball 2. Dodgeball 2. It's reindeer this time. Vince Vaughn plays Rudolph.
You know, Kyle, that was a great way to describe how you think Santa would start delivering presents in a more cost-effective way. But you know what would be even more cost-effective, Kyle? The USPS Express Delivery Service, available in all 50 states.
Including China?
Including China.
Every time you fall asleep, you wake up in a new place with either minor differences or a completely new universe.
Wait, what?
Every time you fall asleep, you wake up in a new place with either minor differences or a completely new universe. That just sounds like that would be messy. Like that, I feel like I could see some sort of story coming from that, but I feel like after the first couple times, you would just go insane.
You sound schizophrenic.
Yeah,
like
exactly. That's the twist at the end.
Yeah, or that's just like that's the prompt. Every time you go to sleep, you're schizophrenic. The end.
Yeah, if your writing prompt can just be described as a mental illness, it's probably not a good writing prompt. A psycho murderer on the loose got to kill the Grim Reaper who came to collect their victim. A new freshly hired Grim Reaper came to collect both victims. And the new Grim Reaper also got killed, and so it loops. The household becomes an involuntary family of Reapers. What household?
That sounds like a fever dream. That doesn't even sound like a prompt. That just
I
what
don't
are you trying
understand
to say?
what this person is saying.
It sounds like a weird fever dream, drunk fucking short story, which is not maybe they didn't understand what a writing prompt was.
Maybe. After what feels like... Oh, wait. Here's one with actual responses.
Okay.
50 years after killing the Demon Lord, you finally die of old age. You were known as a great hero and was buried in a tomb. One day, you get resurrected into a barren wasteland by a necromancer. Quick, there's no time to explain. If you want to save the world, then follow me. That just sounds like a D&D campaign starter.
Yeah, okay. Like, yeah, it just sounds like a normal fantasy.
There's somebody who made a 2-part response.
All right. Is it good?
I don't know. I'm not going to read it. I'll start reading this person's. We'll see how far we get into it. I am alive, but I am supposed to be dead. I remember dying. I had my family there, and then I just closed my eyes. How are they open again? What? I looked down at my hands. No, not my hands. These can't be my hands. They're just bone, skeletal impressions of the skin and muscle I used to have. I flex my fingers and they move. They move. I look down at the rest of my body. It's just bone. Bone and the rusted remnants of the armor I was buried in. How would he know that? This can't be. I can't be this. I spent my entire life destroying the skeletal warriors of the Dread Wizard. Now what am I? I hear a slight noise from above me. Looking up, I see what must be the necromancer who raised me from my rest.
Oh my god, you seem to know a lot of things coming alive.
He's making a lot of connections here. He clears his throat. Sorry about that. Raising you from the dead. But before he can finish his sentence, I've stood up, grabbed him by the shoulder. Put me back, I'm screaming, shaking him back and forth. I can't be undead. Put me back. He gently removes my hands and backs up a few feet. Look, I don't have time to explain, but you're needed and you have to come with me. Aren't you supposed to be the hero of the kingdom? I'm supposed to be dead, I mutter. I said, I'm sorry about that, but it had to be done. Please, just come with me. I promise I'll put you back if you don't want to, but for now you have to come and listen. He turns his back on me and begins walking down the road. I cast a forlorn look at my grave, the hole in the ground that has been my home for priests know how long. Then I turn and follow the necromancer into the world of the living. Oh god, this is also like a part 2.
Yeah, that's awful. I have a better writing prompt, Kyle.
Okay.
So you're familiar with this? Is it the 7 layers of hell? 7.
I don't. There's 7 or 9 circles. I don't. But yes, I'm for the 7 deadly sins. Like depending on which sin you committed, you go to whichever circle, and there's like a ironic punishment for you.
Yeah. Okay. So, but instead of that, what if you could design them? What would one of those circles of hell look like with a unlikely twist? So I guess my thought was like, if you were a glutton, your circle of hell is you are reincarnated as a gingerbread man, and life is good for like 5 seconds. You're just like chilling out on the cookie sheet, and then you get put in the oven and you start burning alive.
Where is the what do they call it? When is the point of conception for a gingerbread man? Like when does a gingerbread man gain sentience?
When he gets his little
cookie, when he's cookie cutted?
No, when he gets the eye candies put in.
Okay.
But then I imagine you like start panicking, so you lift your gingerbread man. It's a little like the Shrek gingerbread man. You can move your body around, and then you start banging on the oven door, but it's obviously way too heavy. And you start burning, and then you fall into the oven off the sheet.
Yeah,
and then you
like
burn alive.
onto the coil.
Yeah, and then you open your eyes again, and you're right where you started, which was on the cookie sheet before it went in the oven. And then you just relive that over and over and over again.
Yeah, a real Sisyphusian.
Yeah, but with gingerbread, because Christmas.
Yeah. For glutton, I would probably just like you would be presented with all the food you would want, but it's all the stuff you don't like you hate. It's all the food you hate, because everybody has food they hate. It would just be piles and piles of that. So like you can eat all you want, but you're not going to.
Do you think that would stop you from eating? Like, do you think there's foods that you hate so much that you wouldn't eat them off the table?
Well, I mean, I'm sure, it's eternity, so eventually you would eat it. But then, I mean, the devil, you could always change what food it is when they get used to it.
What would you do for envy?
Can you give me an example of when envy is like a sin? Like it's just whenever you're envious?
Yeah, it's whenever you...
Well, sorry, let me put it another way. how do you get so envious? Because I feel like everybody gets envy every once in a while. How do you get so envious that you wind up in hell because of it? Like, is it when you kill because of envy, or when you commit another sin because of envy? Because if I like let's say like hey, you had a blue Yeti microphone on sale now online and in stores, and I was envious of that. So I myself got a blue Yeti microphone available online and in stores.
I would say...
Like, I'm not going to go to hell for that.
I would say envy to the point of obsession. So,
Okay.
like, if you were so...
That I had to have your blue Yeti microphone available in stores and online and on your desk.
Yeah, you didn't have to necessarily... You didn't really commit murder or anything over it, but
it was your life.
It like
Okay.
And that's just a chain of envy that consumes your life.
Then I would say, I guess the ultimate hell would be deprivation of whatever or I guess what would be the ultimate counterpoint to like wanting something so much it upset, like your life became an obsession? Would it be to like deprive you of that thing for an eternity?
No, I think...
Or like you get to watch people do things that you ultimately want. Like you get to watch people basically, like you get a world of the living world, or you get a view of the living world.
No, I think being crushed by your envies. So like in this case, you are envious of my Blue Yeti microphone available now in stores and online. And it just comes crashing down on you. You like maybe it's oversized, but you're just like standing in a room and you see a lot of the things you've envied normal size around you, and you're not too concerned, and then all of a sudden from the ceiling starts falling the like the Blue Yeti microphone, or maybe
the yachts.
Yeah, or maybe you wanted to look like someone, and so
a copy of them.
Maybe a copy of them, but I was thinking like if you want to get like really dark, just like their skin, just like their skin suit.
So you
just
end up getting suffocated for eternity by these things.
Yeah, or maybe if you specifically envied someone's like looks or appearance or something, like you're in their skin, but not in a way that is attractive.
Yeah, it's like you're literally draped in their skin.
Yeah, you're like wearing a flesh suit,
and then you have to host a fancy dinner as them with their spouse and parents and children and stuff, and everybody is reacting how they would react in such a situation. So it's just awful for everybody.
Yeah,
like everybody's crying and vomiting and asking why, and saying whoever skin you're wearing, they're saying their name over and over again, and it's just like it's hard to eat when that's happening. I bet that's never happened to me.
You've never worn a skin suit and it was hard to eat for you?
Yeah, I've never worn somebody's skin suit and then sat down for a family dinner with their family.
But you have worn someone's skin suit.
No,
you just haven't. Just
because I haven't done something specific doesn't mean I've done the more general thing. I just gave a more specific example. You think Joe Rogan's ever gonna die?
No, I think he's probably gonna live forever.
Live forever.
Any more writing prompts?
Probably not, but let me just take a quick look here. There's a reason why every time traveler failed to stop me, they said as they turned around to face you with a smile. So I guess you're a time traveler in this prompt.
But there's a reason why they failed to stop me? Okay.
Yeah. Every 15,000 years as an advanced species throws a rock at our planet in such a way that it appears as though it's just another piece of space debris. Every 15,000 years, an advanced species throws a rock at our planet in such a way that it appears as though it's just another piece of space debris. Okay, I see. If humanity organizes and stops it, humanity gets to live and is introduced to the aliens. If not, we start all over.
We start all over like
Yeah, back to the Stone Age, because the 15,000 years is about, from what I know, that's about when like society formed.
Or so they think.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you believe. But yeah, that sounds so somehow the aliens tell us this, or do we just figure it out on our own?
Well, and I don't.
Hey, all this space debris that's coming at us, guys, I really think it's from an advanced species of aliens that's testing us.
Well, and it sounds a little like what was that End of the World movie where there were arcs? It had
2012.
Yeah. So it sounds a little like that movie, just with a different setting, because the ability for humanity to cooperate under such strain would, in sense, just be the movie 2012, just with aliens instead of a flood.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I understand the writing prompt. I think it's still like just a little too vague. Like, how do you know that the aliens are throwing a rock at you? Like, and how do you know that you need to stop it? Like, without any communication from the past 15,000. See, because that's the thing, is without any communication with the previous 15,000 years, in order to, I guess, give you an advantage, you would literally it would almost be like you're just living the same event over and over again, because you can't develop if you have no information. So
it's a real Sisyphean situation.
Man, that's 2 mentions for him today.
I know. Sisyphus. Keep pushing that boulder, buddy. It gets easier. Do you want to hear a couple of the most highly rated writing prompts that have been on here?
Yeah.
Let's see. A superhero fights evil by wiping memories of both the villain and everyone who knew of them so that they can be reintroduced into society safely. Today, as you were combing through the old newspapers, you discover that you were once the world's most powerful supervillain. See, I feel like if a superhero can go through the trouble of wiping all the memories, like, why would he not go through the trouble of deleting any sort of old media?
Well, and why would he just wipe their memories? Like, what? Yeah, because like you're saying, it's, if you just wipe their memories, I mean, I guess you could wipe the memories of the things that made them evil.
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, if the guy, like, let's say a supervillain murders 10,000 people, like, if you erase their memories, are they just like, I guess we never found out who bombed that convention center?
I guess you could think of it too, though, as like, you see that and you like have to come to terms with that, but I don't know why.
But what terms do you have to come? Like, what do you have to come to? Because like, nobody knows you're a supervillain. Like, I feel like all you would do is like, you would seek out that superhero and be like, hey, can you like erase my memory again?
No, I think it would be kind of like you would see that in the newspaper that you killed, with this example, like 10,000 people or whatever. You would see that in the newspaper, and it could be more of a journey of making amends and making things right, or living your life in a different way. It doesn't necessarily.
But I guess my question then is, how is that a movie, or like, how is that a story? Like, would the story just be then like, guy? Because the thing is, like, everybody who knows of you doesn't have their memories. So would you reintroduce the memory of what happened to them as well?
I think it would be. It wouldn't be necessarily a good movie, but it would be kind of like Eat, Pray, Love, where it's just like a.
I was thinking like My Name Is Earl, but like nobody on his list knows what's going on.
Maybe a little bit of both.
But I get what you're saying. Like, that would be a good character arc, definitely. Like, if you found out you did something horrible that nobody remembers, and then you have to make amends for yourself and not for like other people.
I think it would also make a good TV show, and it would make a good character, not necessarily like a on its own story. Like,
I think
it would
the character's name should be Earl.
All right. What's the superhero's name?
My name is.
So what would the show be called?
No, sorry. The superhero's name is My Name, and the show's title is a spoiler because my name is Earl.
What? How is the superhero is Earl?
Well, because it turns out the superhero is the supervillain. He found out he became a supervillain, so he wiped his own memory.
Wait, was that in the prompt, or was that a plot twist you just came up with?
I just came up with that plot twist.
You want to do one more writing prompt?
Yeah. Last writing prompt. You are secretly the richest person in the world, but to avoid suspicion of having so much money, you decide to work a normal office job. One day your boss fires you, but what he didn't realize was how incredibly petty you are and the lengths you will go to get back at him.
What would you do?
You're the richest person in the world, so you have unspeakable amounts of money. I would definitely start. What kind of office do you think it is? What's the business?
I'm gonna be really honest. I just picture the office,
from the office.
Yeah, like a paper company in that parking lot, just like a small parking lot, just like a little,
just like a small sales office.
Yeah.
Okay. I would definitely start just pumping out shell companies that would make massive orders, but then cancel them at the last minute, or not even. They're like there's nowhere to deliver it. I would possibly go so far as to hire a plant that then gets hired there. I don't think I would ever I feel like last resort you buy the company, and then you can I feel like you can't just buy the company and he knows, because then he could just quit. I feel like if you bought the company, you would have to do things very quietly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until you're ready to just snap, I guess.
I think I imagine it even more petty than that, though. You just key his car and then you just throw $100 bill in his face. No, not even that. So one idea would be, if you're so rich, I would imagine you have some way to either drones, manual labor, whatever. But you, every day you move his car, you move it down the street, or you
or even just start with one space over.
Yeah, and you just start moving it. Another thing I was thinking is what if you bought all the property around that business and you just built the tallest buildings you could, and on those buildings were screens, and you had someone hack into his phone, because again, you're the richest person in the world, so really you could probably do whatever you wanted. You get someone to either hack his phone or however.
Deep fakes.
And you just start displaying some of the most embarrassing shit he's ever texted just on the buildings.
Yeah.
Dick pics, whatever. It's just around the building he works at. And you don't even have to put his name. You don't even have to assign it to him. Just the fact that he knows that those are his texts and he has to pretend like they're not, or that's not his dick on the big screen. And just, I feel like that would be some of the most petty shit you could do to a person.
Yeah. I would develop a weaponized AIDS virus, and I would throw it in his face.
That took a turn. That was
biological warfare.
I'm pretty sure that's against the Geneva Convention.
Well, good thing I didn't sign it.
Do you have to sign? I don't think you have to sign it.
Well, I feel like if I'm the richest person in the world, I don't have to worry about such things.
You just bought it. You just bought a copy of it and used it as toilet paper.
I have my own island that has kill bots and kill dolphins.
And a smoothie maker.
And I have everything I could ever want on this island, and there's nothing they can take away from me that won't be fought with blood.
Also, The Rock runs around on all fours.
The Rock?
Yeah.
Is he against me or with me?
He's with you. He just runs around on all fours.
He's like my dog.
Sure.
Come on, Dwayne. It's time for dinner. But then who would be the celebrity that's the head of the other side?
This David Spade.
David Spade would be the lead commander of this fighting force that's going to take me down.
Oh, I just meant the manager that you're fucking with.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were talking about if I went against the Geneva Convention.
Oh, then yeah, the actor would be,
because I have The Rock as my personal pet.
Yeah, I would say the I don't know who would be the
Here, actually, think about it this way: who would be the Rock's equivalent? Who would also be acting like a dog on the other side, and then who would be like my equivalent, who owns that dog?
Vin Diesel's the dog.
Okay, and who is controlling Vin Diesel and being his master? Is it Michelle Rodriguez?
No,
Down boy.
No, I like David Spade. I think David
You
Spade.
think David Spade is the owner?
Yeah, with Vin Diesel.
I bet my dog can be your dog.
Who would play you?
Jeff Bezos.
Not
Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald would play me. Hey, David, I see you got a dog over there. I got one over here. So yeah, those are some writing prompts.
That was, and I think that's all we got for.
Well, I personally want to thank our sponsors. I don't know who they are yet.
All right.
But I'm sure we will have some ad plays that we can edit in later.
Brought to you by McGillicuddy's Wallet. Don't call it a wallet unless it's a McGillicuddy. I trust my money in my McGillicuddy.
Today's episode was also brought to you by Carson's Cannery, the only manufacturer of whole meal in a can, the family feast can system that will have a gourmet meal on your dinner table all from a single can. Carson's Cans, it right. Let's redo that. Thank you for listening. This is Kyle.
And this is Niko.
Signing off.
Alright, that's it. If you would like to support the podcast, we have a Patreon with some extra goodies, or you can directly support us through the link in the description. Thank you. I think that went really well. What do you mean the mic's still on?